Hi, I'm Steve Lerman with Ex-Aequo Artists, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some strategies for how to develop a good tone and a powerful sound overall. So first thing I want to talk about is, what does a good tone mean? Because that's kind of a subjective thing. I think most of the time when people talk about having a good tone, they mean a warm or a round sound. And I think that's a nice thing to have as your sort of a neutral sound. We also want to be able to get a variety of different colors out of our instrument. That's sort of the magic of guitar, is being able to elicit all those different colors and amazing things that this instrument can do, depending on how you use your nails and what part of the guitar you're plucking on. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to have that good neutral sound, how to develop that, some ideas for practicing, as well as some just general principles for getting different colors out of the instrument, having that variety of sounds that we want as well. So I think it's impossible to have this kind of a conversation without talking about nails a little bit. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on there because I think we could do a whole video on just doing your nails, but just some general helpful things. We always want to have our nails ramped, going from where the string enters the finger to where it exits the finger. And how we can figure that out is, maybe you've seen this trick before. You put your sandpaper or your micro mesh over one of your strings, and then take each finger individually and just pluck through it in your normal hand position. You don't want to change anything. And then what you'll see is, as you're plucking through that sandpaper, is underneath your nail, there'll be a little bit of dust that got kicked up. And that dust is going to tell us the area that we're playing on the nail. So if you see dust from over here to over here, now I can take my nail file and I'm going to make a straight line from where, just on that area that it played on, make a straight line into your finger. And you should be able to put it against the surface like this underneath and see, oh, it's exactly straight. Any little divots on there are going to give you some sounds that you don't want. So after you get your straight line, you'll want to take off the back side that you're not using. So I kind of slant away, and then that'll give you a little bit of a point at the top, which is not desirable. So you can either use the file at the top just to round it and smooth it out a little bit, or take a thicker grit. This is a 1200 grit sandpaper, just to smooth out that top. So then you end up with some nice ramps with just a little bit of rounding at the top where the string is gonna leave the nail, okay? So that's one way to adjust, without having to change how you're doing anything, just to see where your ramp could go, okay? If you have, in general, just some general things with how to ramp it. If your nail's a little more arched, I find it's okay to do a little bit more of a steep ramp. And if, like my nail here, is a little bit more flat, less of an arch, just kind of straight across, on that one, instead of being here, I'm more at that. So you'll have to mess around with the ramp and find out what's best for you. But that's one way to find out exactly how to do your ramp, is to kick up a little bit of dust on there, okay? Some things about length. If you have shorter nails, it can be a little easier to control your sound. Longer is a little bit more difficult, but it's a little more accurate. So you have to find out what works best for you and mess around with that a little bit, okay? So some general tone principles, let's talk about that. In general, if you go more parallel to the strings, your tone's going to be warmer, rounder. And as you go more perpendicular, it's going to brighten up. Okay? So if you can make all those sounds, you can pick out what you like. What's my neutral sound going to be? I end up somewhere in the middle of that. And then also, if you are dipping your hand in towards your thumb, it's warmer. I'll do it on the B string. And as you rotate to the other side of your nail, it gets brighter and more naily. Okay, so those are two general principles. As far as volume goes and quality of sound, when you pluck pushing in towards the guitar, so pushing in towards the sound hole, that's going to make it a little bit more punchy and a little bit rounder. You're going to hear the string less and more just that pure tone. If you lift, so in this one I'm going to go into the palm, kind of lifting up and away, it's going to thin out. So I went from good tone to thin tone just by changing that angle that it's going through. So keep those in mind as you're discovering the sounds that are coming out of your instrument. So I'll give you a couple of warm-ups you can try. So your nails change every single day. So one of the first things I do when I sit down is I set up in just an arpeggio position, and I'm just gonna each finger go through the string and see what does that finger sound like today. And if it sounds a little bit tinny, I'm gonna adjust it. This might be a chance to do my nails a little differently. I'm gonna find what each finger sounds like and how to get a good sound out of it. And I'll just work on that for a minute until I like what's coming out. And don't forget your thumb. So one of the things with thumb usually is people go out this direction with it. You should go down and around when you do your thumb free strokes, going more into the face, just like we did with the other fingers, okay? So you can get that warmer, round thumb instead of a little bit more thin, okay? With the fingers, one of the things you can try are circular plucking. And this isn't the way you're always going to pluck, but as an exercise, it's gonna give you more of that powerful, into the guitar face kind of sound. So what you'll do with these is you'll push down into the string, and then instead of following through like a rest stroke would, you're gonna push down and then let them come back up in these little circular motions. So you can do that with each finger. You push down and then you return. Let me get it in this angle here. And you can hear the difference between that and just a regular, you know, how they taught you in school, going back into the palm. So much more power and presence when you do those circular plucks. So I do those every day as part of my warm-up, and that's gonna give you a bigger sound, and it's gonna make your free strokes sound like rest strokes, which is something we all wanna do, right? Is have our free strokes have that same quality of sound as rest strokes as a general playing style. So your rest strokes sound so good and warm because you're pressing into the face of the guitar. These circular ones, it almost looks like I'm doing a rest stroke because I'm still creating that tension and that friction going back into the face, but I'm relaxing it. I'm relaxing the hand. I'm not forcing the circle, I'm relaxing it so that it circles back around, okay? So try those circular plucking so that you can get more out of your guitar. If you find that that's bottoming out, maybe your action is a little lower than mine is, then lessen the amount that you're pushing in. But find where that breaking point is on your instrument so you can develop that power to the highest capabilities that your instrument or your setup allows for, okay? So circular plucking and trying to get your free strokes to match what your rest strokes are getting, okay? So another thing you can do is exploring the fretboard on your guitar. You can do different combinations of, maybe you go up the E string. And adjust your tone as you go up. See, what does it sound like? How much pressure do I need in this area? Do I need to come across more on this side of the hand up here in order to maintain a neutral sound? You can go across strings. Trying to explore across the different strings in each position. But get to know your instrument very well so that you have that ability to tap into the things that you've worked on every time you're working on a piece, or if you're in a performance, that you know what to expect from your guitar in that region. So do these things just to think about your sound. I think we don't do them enough. I think we're always worried about what our fingers are doing and how to get the most out of them, but we don't think about it as attached to sound as much as we should. So that brings me to putting these things into your repertoire. So I call this a sound first approach. What this is basically your sound that you're making is the most important thing. And that makes sense, right? Because our audience are using their ears, and that's what they care about, is the sound that's coming out of the instrument. So everything else that we're doing is to serve the sound. If you play really fast, that's great. That's to serve the music. That's to serve the sound that's coming out. So we need to tune ourselves into that so that when something comes out of the instrument that we don't like, we hear that as a wrong note. And every time you're practicing, when something doesn't sound good, you're going to fix that. Just the same as if you mess up a fingering, or if you mess up a note and you're playing, the wrong accidental or something. You're going to sit there and fix it. So do the same thing with your sound. And in general, that's going to raise your ability to play with a great sound. And that's also going to not let you get away with those silly things that hopefully you've gotten rid of in your playing otherwise, technique things, or playing the same wrong note every time you go through it. The same way you're going to fix it with this. So a little bit of a piece that I'm playing. So this is a new piece that I'm learning. And what I'll do is each melody note, I'm going to try to get exactly the sound that I want out of each one. And the accompaniment, I'm going to have it be a little brighter. So I'm able to think about each thing, how I want that to come out. I want these to be warm and sparkly. So I know I'm going off the side of my nail here. So I'm going to get that warmer, rounder sound. And the accompaniment, I want to be a little brighter to stand out in contrast. So I'm going to go more on the middle of the nail. Now I didn't like that last one. I went too much on the side here. So I'm gonna try it again, and I'm gonna say, okay, what can I do to make that sound a little better? And then I'll change where the attack point is. But I'm hearing that like a wrong note. So try in your practicing to start hearing your tone, your sound, the things that you're making musical choices on in regards to sound. Hear those as either wrong notes, or hear them as a bad interpretation if something doesn't come off right. Start having that trigger your ear to tell you that needs work. I'm gonna fix it now as if I would with a wrong note, okay? The other thing you can do to work on having more consistency in your sound, being able to just have every note be at that median level that you want, is what I call mezzo forte practice. So you're gonna take whatever piece you're working on, and you're gonna do the whole thing, all parts, everything completely even, loud, not crazy loud, but medium loud. And what that's gonna do is make you clean, for one, because every time you make a mistake in there or a note doesn't come out, if you buzz it, it's gonna really bother you because you're playing it up to that level. But it's also going to give you that tactile sensation of having that preparation, having the finger go where you want it to go on the string, and you're going to be so much cleaner and more accurate when you throw in that tone, when you have to be delicate. Your fingers are going to prepare in the same way you did when they were loud, but the attack itself is going to be a little different based on the sound that you want to get from it. But try that on each of your pieces. Try to play loud and even through the whole thing so that you can get, as a neutral, a more powerful, beautiful sound that comes out of it, a warm sound, and then mess with it from there one way or the other. And you're going to have the tools so much better capable of making these little adjustments, okay? So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about the things I've talked about. But I hope that you practice your pieces, thinking about your sound 100% of the time. And I hope that you warm up trying some of these tone things and make sure you make sure you're working on getting that bigger, more round sound as your neutral sound that's coming out of your instrument. So happy practicing and have a good one.